He's getting, I suppose, what to do from a Chris Froome point of view, and we can see here, just further down, Aru, the motorbikes has been left by, so that tells he's lost quite a bit of ground. But Yates looking so good there, just standing on the pedals, and it's going to be a real interesting final 4.3 kilometres.
It certainly is. Yates is still there, but I tell you what, Tom Dumoulin doesn't look bad at all. He's continued to ride up nice and easily. Thibaut Pinot not in big crisis whatsoever, despite being at the back. He looks fairly comfortable. And now then, Chris Froome attacks. Chris Froome attacks at the front of the Giro d'Italia. He's being followed immediately by Domenico Pozzovivo, and the pink jersey still looks comfortable. The man with a gap to close at the minute is the defending champion, Tom Dumoulin, and this is a key moment in the race with 4.2 kilometres to go.
Yes, and we can see also Thibaut Pinot also having difficulty from Groupama there, just with Tom Dumoulin. But Tom Dumoulin, we know he doesn't react to these sudden accelerations.
It's Froome at the front in the white, and for the first time, Simon Yates hasn't closed the gap. Just a couple of bike lengths left to open up. One to watch with 4Ks to go. And is this Chris Froome's way back into the Giro d'Italia? And now he's putting time and distance into Pozzovivo. You couldn't have imagined this a couple of days ago, Sean. The recovery has been miraculous.
Well, it has been, and we did talk about Chris Froome. Is it over for him? But I think the agreement was you can never count him out, although he's lost a lot of time in this race. If he gets into his shape, and of course he did come into this Giro not at his best, and as the race go on, looking like he's on a better day today.
Well, the pink jersey at the moment, in terms of what he needs to follow, he's doing well. He is gaining time on Dumoulin behind as it stands, albeit a second or two right now. And Chris Froome, okay, he's pulling out, but how much is he pulling out, Sean? Because you can see behind, Lopez is still there, Yates speaks on the radio, and Pozzovivo not far away either.
No, not far away, and we can see the three chasers there just all across the road. It's a question now who's going to chase after Chris Froome, but the distance to the finish, 3.9k. There's a lot of time here. If you continue on at a really strong pace as Chris Froome is doing, this gap could grow out to be substantial.
Well, he's got 1.8 kilometres remaining of the hardest section here, that of the average gradient of 15%. We've seen the maximum 22 already passed in the first half of the climb. After that, it's a kilometre at 7%, and then the final kilometre with the 3 tunnels, 9%. They'll then emerge from the darkness into the light, into the stadium, and whoever there is at the front will be the big favourite to go on and win the stage. At the moment, it's Chris Froome at the front of the Giro d'Italia. Tom Dumoulin looked like he was in trouble, but he's slowly making his way back up to the pink jersey here. No time gaps to tell you about just yet. Second group on the road, Lopez, Pozzovivo and Yates. Behind them, Dumoulin and Pinot. It's Chris Froome at the front though. And Froome on the left-hand side, he's pulling out even more. It's his simple style. It's not pretty, but it's certainly working for him today. Now then, Yates, I think, just about feels he needs to react, and as far as he's concerned, he's thinking about putting time immediately into Dumoulin, isn't he?
Yes, well, he has to put time into Dumoulin, because in the general classification, Dumoulin is the great time trialist at 47 seconds. Chris Froome was a bit further down, so he can allow Chris Froome to take a bit of time, but there will be a point. If Yates has got it, well, then he has to push on. As we can see now, he's taking up the pace setting with Pozzovivo and with Miguel Angel Lopez, and Tom Dumoulin just grinding away here with Thibaut Pinot in his wheel, and that is the Tom Dumoulin style. We see him last year a number of times like this, losing a bit of ground and then just walking away and getting back on the easier section, and we are getting up to an easier gradient, and that's where the big power man can have the advantage. 12
seconds for Chris Froome over the pink jersey. In terms of his distance at the moment in the race, 3 minutes 20 behind, that is nothing. Simon Yates is still in the A1 position here. He's in a top position going up all the way to Montezoncolan, but Yates is only pulling out 10 seconds on Tom Dumoulin, who at the moment is doing a very, very good ride. And you talked about Dumoulin's style there, Sean. With all that happened with Toilet Gate on the road and on the way to Bormio last year, we've seen he's a man who does not panic.
No, he certainly doesn't panic, and you know, when you talk to him, we see him in the interviews as well. You've seen it yourself, Rob. When you talk to him, you know, he's very relaxed, and on the bike, you know, he is that way as well. He can just stay cool. But he's been in this situation. He's been in much worse situations last year in the Giro, where he had to stop for that tyre break, but stayed very calm. Again today, that's what you've got to do. And you know, the big champions who have been there before, they can do that. Just keep working on it. Do not panic, just work to your tactic, work to what you feel good at.
Froome out onto the pedals and kicks again. And there aren't many parts on this climb where you can get out of the saddle. It is so difficult, the gradient.
Yes, well, we can see here, you know, it doesn't look a big advantage, but I think the advantage there of that 10 seconds is that exactly 10 seconds, because it does take a bit of time on a very steep grade. It could be a bit more, but still Yates working very well. You know, he's just continue on to press away, as we see Tom Dumoulin doing exactly the same.
Surprising one here might be Thibaut Pinot, who we probably expect to be a little better than Dumoulin on this climb.
You would expect Thibaut Pinot to be a bit better, but again, you know, it's a time when maybe you're not at your best. Will Pinot be able to push on the easier section? At the moment, it's Tom Dumoulin who is doing the chasing, and Pinot is just happy to follow. 3
kilometres remain as Simon Yates starts to pull away. Simon Yates makes his move. 3Ks to go, and he leaves Pozzovivo and Lopez in his wake. Now he's thinking about putting more than those 12 seconds he has into Tom Dumoulin. Froome extends his lead to 15. It's 28 back to the defending champion. And Simon Yates now striking out for home with 3Ks to go. Remember, there's never been a Maglia Rosa win in the Maglia Rosa from this side on Monte Zoncolan. Giro Simoni did it the first time, but that was from the easier side. So just 11 seconds now for Froome. Has he gone too early? And the final judge, jury, and if it doesn't go right for him, executioner, will be the finish line here on Monte Zoncolan. 29 seconds Froome has on the defending champion, but just 11 on Simon Yates, and by our count, he's extending that lead now to Tom Dumoulin to 20 seconds.
Yes, well, we can see Yates, you know, he's pushing on, and he had a plan, and I think outside the 3 kilometres to go that bit further out, and you know, that's what he's got to do. If you have got it, if you feel you have anything left, well then go for it, because you have to risk it here to try and pull the advantage of time from Tom Dumoulin. And it's going to be an interesting one now, as you can see Yates, he's just working very well, and to ride away from the 2 riders who's with Pozzovivo and Miguel Angel Lopez, you know, very good climbers. It will be interesting to see, will he be able to catch Chris Froome?
Well, we heard Dave Brailsford tell Ashley House earlier on today that Chris Froome was riding granny gears. 34-32. Not quite sure what Simon Yates has got on, but this is a unique prospect to take on for all of these professionals. The hardest climb in world cycling at this level. And Simon Yates is gaining on Chris Froome, the attacker. Now Lopez sets off in pursuit as well behind. We're heading up into his terrain, remember, the Colombian, and he needs time back too. 3 minutes 17 seconds behind. Chris Froome only 3 seconds behind him. Well, we're 2.5 kilometres from home on what has been a heavyweight version of this Monte Zoncolan climb so far. All the big names at the front, all the big names attacking. Simon Yates, the Maglia Rosa, is riding to keep that jersey very well at the moment. In fact, as it stands, he will be extending his lead. He's in second position on the road, 10 seconds behind Chris Froome. But remember, for those of you just tuning in, Chris Froome started the day 3 minutes 20 seconds down on the race leader. Froome pulling away, but with only 9 seconds on Yates. Yates now would be putting 24 seconds into Dumoulin, and the next 2.5 Ks for him are absolutely key, Sean Kelly. It doesn't matter for Yates too much if he wins the stage or not. Of course, he wants to win the stage, but for him, he's got to think about the distance to the man in the white and black there in the centre of your screen, Tom Dumoulin.
Yes, well, that's what Yates will be thinking of, but at this point, it's just about just giving it everything, grinding away to the finish. And even when it gets to the easier section, you're going to be going so hard, and after going so deep on the steeper section, the steep gradient for a long time, you're just on the limit, and you're going to stay just totally on the limit all the way to the line here. Even though there's 2.2 kilometres to go, that's what you've got to do. You've got to go so deep on this one and see what time gaps are at the end of the day.
Well, you can see Carapaz's name painted on the road there by the Ecuadorian fans. He's at 1 minute and 16 from Chris Froome at the moment. As it stands, he's losing almost a minute to Miguel Angel Lopez in the fight for the white jersey. Before today, he had 1 minute and 56 lead, so he'd be keeping the jersey as it stands, but there's still 2 kilometres to go. Yates is 10 seconds behind Froome here. A reminder that the last 2 kilometres are easier than what we've faced so far on this climb. But it's saying something about this climb if the easier sections are at 7.1 and 8.9% respectively. Does Froome have anything left in a tank to spin away those legs to victory? 2 kilometres to go, but on the chase is Simon Yates, the Maglia Rosa. 8th day in the pink jersey for the Lancastrian, and the 25-year-old from England already has 2 stage wins, both wearing that coveted pink jersey. This is Domenico Pozzovivo, and we're back to the group of Dumoulin at 36 seconds. Dumoulin with Pinot, and Pinot, again, maybe the big disappointment so far today. Fabio Aru has been dropped. We've lost count to him. No sign of George Bennett either. Peeling off the front quite early on this climb. A lot of difference is going to have to be totted up and added up, and there'll be a big shake-up of the GC tonight as Froome rides into the final 2Ks, and the walls of fans on the side of this mighty mountain. Listen to the noise there. The noise audible, the passion visible on those fans' faces. The defending champion has done a decent job of defending himself fairly well so far today. And if the stage were to finish to now, there'd be about 1 minute and 20 seconds of a lead for Simon Yates there in the general classification. And of course, he's talking about needing 2 or 3 minutes when the time trial comes. Yates could do with pulling out more time. Here's Lopez. Yates still at 12 seconds from Froome. It's not over for the stage win yet. And of course, okay, Froome not pulling too much time back on Yates yet, Sean, but it would be a start for Team Sky, a big stage win, wouldn't it?
It would be a big turnaround for Chris Froome. You know, we haven't seen him in difficulty on most of the uphill finishes, but a big turnaround today. We can see him, he's still walking away. Yates can see him just out there in front of the motorbikes, but Chris Froome, the style, just a low gear, able to spin a little bit of a lighter gear, a greater cadence than anybody else. We can see Yates here, a little bit of a slower cadence, and Pozzovivo slower again, but you know, depending on how you're feeling. And we can see here we're getting to the easier section now, and will Yates be able to grind his way back to Chris Froome as we go to 1400 metres to go?
Well, we saw Juan Antonio Fletcher enter the tunnels on his recon earlier on. We're 400 metres from the first of the tunnels, used in World War I. They were only paved over just over 10 years ago when the Giro d'Italia came up here for the first time. They're dark, the lighting's through, it's very foreboding as the water drips down from the roof. When they emerge from those 3 tunnels, they'll hit the wall of sound, the fans, and as it stands, Simon Yates will be keeping the pink jersey and increasing his lead in the Giro d'Italia, and Chris Froome would be going on to take a stage victory for the first time in his relationship with the Giro, which, let's face it, hasn't been a happy one so far in his career. 1.1 kilometres to go for Froome, but the gap's only 8 seconds. And you can just see that a couple of the bikes are being pushed out the way by the commissars now. I wonder if Froome's going into crisis. And here comes Yates. The gap is closing, 8 seconds, and Sean, I think the stage win might all still be to play for.
Yes, it's looking like it is, and we can see the motorbikes are disappearing there. They're being pulled out one by one. The commissar there just trying to keep a bit of order on the crowd, on the spectators allowed in here, and 1K to go. It looks like Yates is the one who is possibly going to close down on Chris Froome now. He's either making a bigger effort maybe there, just at this point as we go into the tunnel.
First of the 3 tunnels then, Chris Froome's into it, but he's closely followed by the Maglia Rosa. In the meantime, the Maglia Rosa knows that he has to put more time into Tom Dumoulin, who's ridden a brilliant Montée Zoncolan so far. There he is with the number 1 on his back. He's only 37 seconds behind Froome, and at the minute, Yates only putting half a minute into the man who's defending his title quite brilliantly. What a race we're seeing today. 1K to go for big Tom Dumoulin. Pinot is with him as well, but today was a day that Pinot really needed to take some more time. Here comes Carapaz. The road gets easier. Is there anything less as Froome emerges with 600 metres to go? Into the next of the tunnels, but Yates is approaching. Can Yates do it? And I think Froome might be tiring. Remember, Sean, they come out of the tunnel, and my, does it kick to the line again?
Well, it's a mighty kick up all the way to the line here, and the final couple 100 metres, 200 metres maybe very, very steep gradient, and to the line itself it's a killer of a gradient. As we can see Yates here coming out of the tunnel, he's closing, we can see he's closing metre by metre, and it's just a big, you know, grind here to try and get back to Chris Froome, but he is getting there.
10, 6 and 4 bonus seconds available on the line. They emerge from the tunnel. It's Chris Froome to turn right after 5 hours and 24 minutes of racing. At the minute he has a minute lead over the Maglia Rosa, but look at the power of the pink jersey. Simon Yates is gaining all of the time. He needs those 10 bonus seconds. He wants a third victory in the Maglia Rosa, and Chris Froome's victory might well be in trouble here. And listen to this. It's what they've been waiting for all day long. And just to add to a sense of the occasion, the rain is falling and starting to pour at the top of Monte Zoncolan. There's one more right turn and then a mighty kick left to the line. Yates with another big effort to try and catch him. The Giro d'Italia in play right here, right now. It's been 4 years since we've been here, but it's been a long time since we had big GC action up there. 200 metres for Chris Froome, who attacked a long, long way out in relation to this climb. But look at the two men. Contrasting styles, and both with the same age. They both need the stage win. Froome, hands on the tops. He's grabbing that bike for dear life as he spins away. Behind, gliding away, it's Simon Yates, who I don't think is going to get there now. Chris Froome's going to pull away one final time, and I think it's going to be a huge confidence-boosting stage win for him and for Team Sky. Froome turns the corner. This was unthinkable a few days ago. The confidence boost is there. It's launch pad for Chris Froome as he is back in the Giro d'Italia. Stage win for him, stage win for Sky, but in the meantime Simon Yates keeps the pink jersey and extends his lead. And he will watch that watch now as it times all the way back to Tom Dumoulin. Next to come over, and it's a fight for bonus seconds, Domenico Pozzovivo, who has again looked very good in the mountains. He's still in the fight for the pink jersey. He comes over 23 seconds behind Chris Froome. Fourth place goes to Lopez, and look at this from Tom Dumoulin. A magnificent ride from the defending champion, and what a man. Dumoulin, possibly the big moral winner of the day. He finishes fifth. Well, it's less than half a minute, I think, to Simon Yates.
Yes, it's amazing performance.
Well, breathless stuff as we expected. A terrible climb, never a normal stage. There's Wout Poels, who made possible Chris Froome's victory. Froome has taken the stage. Yates keeps the Maglia Rosa for a 9th day, and one of the big mountains casting a shadow over this Giro d'Italia is out of the way for a lot of the big riders. Sean, Froome is still a long way behind, but he's back. The big day for Simon Yates, who keeps the pink jersey, but I think moral victor definitely on the day, Tom Dumoulin.
Well, certainly Tom Dumoulin, I think he will be pleased with that performance, because this climb was probably the most difficult one for him against the more lightweight guys, and what a performance. It looked like that he was going to lose quite a bit of time, maybe 3.5 out, 4 kilometres out, but I think on the easier part he pulled back a bit, and it looks around 30 seconds of a time lost to Yates. Of course, Yates takes that time bonification as well, but still a great performance by Tom Dumoulin. But Froome is back.
Chris Froome, who has won a stage of the Giro d'Italia for the first time, as Bennett crosses the line. Carapaz 2 minutes down, and the fight for the white jersey is another one that we're going to take into tomorrow that has been reignited. Lopez back in the game, and here's Fabio Aru. And if Froome is back, I'm afraid Aru is finished. Aru and Formolo, who finished 2.5 minutes down to add already to their deficits. And of course, with the time trial to come, that is not Fabio Aru's forte. There's Rowan Dennis to finish 2.5 minutes down. Ciccone as well. It's been bruising, it's been battering. It's been Montezoncolan. It was worth the wait. It was worth the party. And for some riders, it's not quite the big party started yet, but they know that the Giro d'Italia is still alive, and my, have we got a race. We'll be talking about it as we go into the mountains again tomorrow. Up and down in the only Dolomite day of the Giro d'Italia, as the Montezoncolan amphitheatre waits to welcome home the Gruppetto. The main protagonists have put on a real show. We certainly didn't expect that from Chris Froome. In terms of the time, he hasn't got too much back as Chris Froome, but he's certainly got his confidence. The time trial to come. His team looking good with Wout Poels as well. Yates, maybe not as much as he might have expected. We'll just check the shake-up here. Chris Froome winning by just 6 seconds from Simon Yates. Yates, who took 6 bonus seconds.